Jake with Drifted Bits Racing. So this week we were going to talk about tech sheets, and then I realized that I never actually introduced myself or anyone that's on the team. So we'll start with that, and then we'll move on to doing the tech sheet. We're just going to cover what's on the tech sheet, what we're going to go through, and then in another video we'll actually dive in depth into each section and show you exactly what you're looking at, what we're doing, and how to get out there. For the whole time we'll use my Thunderbird as the example. We'll be going through its own tech inspection to get it ready for the race. So let's get started with that. So, an introduction to me. My name's Jacob. I've been racing roughly 12, 15 years. None of it professionally, none of it to make any money. It's all been a hobby. When I first got into racing, I was really interested in drifting. And so I did my typical high school street racing bull crap, but it didn't really do anything for me in terms. I liked the idea of competition. As I was growing up, it was mid-2000s, kind of weird to say, mid-2000s, and drifting was starting to get really, really popular. So I got rid of cars and I went to Mustangs. I had a Fox body Mustang. I had a 2.3 turbo. I was getting ready to start drifting that, but I never really fully committed. It didn't get started until I switched from Mustangs to Mazda RX-7s. I ran a FC RX-7 for roughly 6 years. I drifted in the Utah region and the Arizona region. Then life happened. I moved back to Utah, and I told myself that I needed a fully built prepped car, and so I tore the car down to build it for Pro-Am level drifting, which I was nowhere near that level. So what I did is I kept chasing a dream, and it never happened. Ended up having to sell the RX-7. So, lesson learned. I got into racing again, into more autocross focused. I'd done a couple events here and there. I was always told as a drifter that if you want to get good at drifting, try autocross first. And so I was working at Ford up here in Utah, and a buddy of mine that I worked with was an avid autocrosser, and he kept telling me to bring your car out, and I always had an excuse why my car wasn't ready. And so eventually we bought a red Integra, and it'll be somewhere. I'll show a picture of it somewhere. We bought it for $500, cheap. We actually took the wheels off of his Cobalt and took it to its very first event the following week. That was it. We threw wheels off of his Cobalt because it at least had smaller sidewall tires. So we raced that. We competed in the DSP class because the rust had caused so much damage. We cut the fenders, and then realized that wasn't allowed in street class. So we ran DSP. We raced against some amazing drivers and learned a lot. We placed second place that year with that car. It was nowhere near as competitive as it should have been. Unfortunately, rust ended up taking the car from us completely, and we had to move on to a different car. My buddy that I co-started the team with decided to move on to other things, and I bought a Honda Civic. I started racing the Honda Civic in SMF class, and I never really gave it a good chance. And so fast forward a couple of years, I was still racing the Hondas, and I've been trying to get my son involved, and he just wasn't into Hondas. When he was born, I had Mustangs, I had Fox bodies, and so that's what he loved. And when he was 12 years old, we ended up picking him up a Fox body, and so that was his dream car. That's what he wanted, and racing the Hondas just didn't appeal to him. So this previous year, I ended the season early. I had some medical issues that came up, and I decided that I was going to tempt him out. I told him that I would, if I drove a Mustang, would he race? And he was stoked. So, sold all them Hondas, and I bought a bunch of Mustangs. I've got my pace car. We've got the notchback up front, and then I actually ended up buying a Thunderbird for myself as a daily driver. So, now, autocross. I've been autocrossing continuously for about 8 years now. I've been racing NASA on and off for about 2 years. I'm still in their driver education program, HPDE, and I hope to, at one point, become an instructor for NASA. I think that would be cool. So, that's me. That's who I am. The other two members on the team, obviously, my son, his name's William. He drives the white 91 Mustang GT that you've seen on previous videos. That's his car. That's his baby. So, I didn't want to put anyone else on the spot and have him on the camera. So, he's 18. He's starting autocross officially this year. This is rookie season. So we'll be following him and that car this year as well to see how he handles racing. I'm excited for it. Should be a really, really fun time. So our third driver, he is a drag racer by trade. He's always done drag racing, never done cornering. I always make fun of him for never turning corners. And he's to the point where he would like to try it. So, he's got a EP3 Honda Civic SI. It made 460 horse, I believe it was, or 440, something like that, on the old motor. Now, the new motor is a K24 swap, turbocharged, and he's aiming at 600 horsepower. In no way, shape, or form was that car built to autocross. It's a drag car. So he ended up actually buying my old Honda Civic. That there'll be pictures of it somewhere as well. And stay with me. I know it's long. I'm sorry. So he's actually building my old coupe, and we'll be bringing it out to autocross. It'll be K-swapped, just a K20 out of his old EP3. Just bare bones, just to get it out and going. So, that's us. I'll have him on the camera as well sometimes when we can all get together. So, let's go. Now that we've got those kind of out of the way, let's get into the tech sheets. All right. So, we've got here the tech sheet from the SCCA. We're going to go over this and cover what they've got. And it's a basic tech inspection. You can be done at home. Some regions have self-tech inspections. A lot of the regions have them done on track, and this is what the tech inspector goes off of to make sure your vehicle is ready to race. So let's break that down. So obviously you've got your own personal information. You put that in, you're a smart person, you'll figure it out. Now we go to driver safety. Obviously your helmet needs to be, this is an older form. I think it needs to be 2010 by now. I'll verify that and I'll put it in the comments or the description if it's changed. It needs to be Snell certified, MASSA. We prefer SA, but M will work. So there's a sticker that we can put on it that just kind of helps your tech inspector do it more quickly. Shoes, you have to have solid shoes, obviously. Makes sense. If you're in any kind of incident, you don't want to be running around with flip-flops. Your seat belts must be in good condition, no rips, tears. And they must click and retract as required. Obviously a roll bar. This is kind of more for convertibles, but we don't require one for autocross. So I'll take that one with a grain of salt. If you need it, we'll let you know, but in most cases you don't need a roll bar for autocross. Padding, if you have a roll bar, it's definitely want padding. It sucks to smack your head on it, even with a helmet. It hurts. Seats must be bolted securely. And obviously your interior and trunk need to be clear. Spare tires that are secured and like mounted down can stay. Generally, we would like you to remove them, but if it's secured in there, we won't throw a fit. So next section is brakes. So we want your fluid full and ready to go. We recommend .4 just for its boiling point. We're obviously not going to test your brake fluid at that point to make sure. So that's on you to make sure that your fluid's up to code. Your pedal is firm. We'll go in there for the tech inspection. We'll press your brake, make sure it's firm. Your brake lights have to be functional on vehicles equipped with them. We're not going to say that you, like on a go-kart or a chassis car, that they have to have functioning brake lights, because some of those cars don't come with them. You can't have obviously any leaks, and the rotors have to have no physical damage to them. Cracks, I've seen some with minor cracks between like people who buy drilled and slotted, as long as they're not excessive. Now, wheels and tires. Obviously your tires have to have decent tread, and by decent I mean anything above 330 seconds, 430 seconds. They need to be appropriate for your vehicle. Obviously speed rating, we're not going to hit speeds where speed ratings are really necessary, but when we advance to NASA, that'll be something to be concerned about. Lug nuts, all of them have to be present. You can't be missing any lug nuts, and they need to be obviously torqued to spec. Hubcaps, if you've got the plastic covers that cover your wheel, we ask that those get removed. We see them a lot of the time where they'll fall off on track and they'll just spin, and then we've had them hit workers, or we have to send a worker out on course to go get them. Not ideal. And then obviously wheels, no obvious physical damage. So now on to steering suspension. We'll do a basic shakedown check. We'll check for your wheel bearings, ball joints, and steering play. Shocks, as long as it's not dripping. I've seen a lot of them that sweat. A lot of your cars do that naturally, and we're not going to fail you for a sweating shock, as long as it's not dripping leak. So let's move on. Engine and drivetrain. All your fluids need to be full and up to readiness. Obviously no dripping fuel leaks. Battery secured. This one catches a lot of people. It can't be bungee corded down. It can't be zip tied. It's got to be a permanent mount. And by permanent, I mean like a factory mount. Whether it's the clamp that goes up over the top, or a clamp that clamps to the bottom on the side. Most of your Fords are that way. Something that's permanent, nothing temporary. The positive terminal being covered, we highly recommend that, but we're not. As long as it's not going to contact anything, we're not going to throw a huge fit about that one. But we definitely recommend having some kind of cover on your positive battery terminal. Overflows have to be present. You can't have, like with your radiator, it can't just blow out onto the ground. Coolant sucks really, really bad to clean up. I know from experience. I've done it a couple times. The exhaust system has to meet sound restrictions. This is a big one where we're at. We have a lot of tracks that are 95 decibels or lower. If you are above, we give you warnings. We'll go into this one specifically because that one's a kind of a heated subject in Salt Lake. So the throttle has to have has to be functional. Open, close, it can't stick, can't bind, or nothing like that. Fuel cap. If you're one of the weirdos that has a Ford that has the no fuel cap, we're gonna make you buy it. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't have a fuel cap because you got a Ford and it's got that fancy fuel capless system, we're not gonna go make you buy one. It has to be functioning. The rest of your cars have to have a fuel cap. It's that simple. You can't have fuel spilling out. Other one, glass cracks. As long as it's not impeding the driver's vision, we won't knock you, but we'll let you know about it, but we won't stop you from racing. It has to be out of the physical line of sight of the driver, so not anywhere blocking vision. Wipers, we don't check your wipers, but if you race on a day where it's raining or slightly snowing or something like that, you're going to appreciate it having working wiper blades. It sucks to not have them. So then you've got your video camera. It has to be securely mounted. It can't be, you cannot hold it in your hand. Your passenger can't hold it in their hand. This one comes up quite a bit. So it has to be firmly mounted, whether it's a sticky mount like this one, like a suction mount, or it has to be like bolted onto a roll bar or something similar. It has to follow those rules. So that's your tech sheet. It's pretty basic. It's pretty easy to follow. And like I said, next video, we'll start breaking down each individual one. I'll start showing you all the specifics. We'll do most of this on my Thunderbird and get it ready for its season to start. So, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I appreciate all you guys for wanting to learn and get started with racing. I appreciate those subscribing. It helps push this kind of content out to people who may not be in the know. If you've got friends that are interested in coming out to race, whether it be in different regions or in the Utah region, send them the videos. Send them links that we can get started and get them showing how to get it going. In Utah, we've got our Facebook group that we have. I can put links in the description if you guys are interested in that. And let's get more people interested in autocross. I feel it's very, very beneficial for a lot of drivers to get started that way. Jumping straight into NASA in your pocketbook might be a little scary. Autocross is a nice, easy way to dip your feet in and really see if you want to do it. You don't need a modified car. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll continue to preach it. You can do it with a stock car, and I promise you I'll prove it with this Thunderbird. So, thank you for watching. Let's get out and go autocrossing. Let's go racing. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Like I said before, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down. I will respond to them as quick as I can, and we will start growing or start getting this channel moving forward. We're actually going to start getting out what we set out to do. If you guys are interested, I can do step-by-steps on how to do certain repairs. I can do kind of walkthroughs. I'm primarily going to focus on autocross related stuff at first. I'll have an occasional probably vlog video that comes out. I'm not very cinematic. There's the word, cinematic. Not very cinematic. So, once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. I hope to see you guys out at the track. If you have friends, like I said, send them over. Let's go out racing.